Hello, 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 everybody. Hello, I want to make sure everything is working. Okay, well, I'm here. I'm gonna wait for you guys to join me. I feel like I have all kinds of stuff over here. All right, so we'll wait a few minutes to get started, but I did want to thank Heather and Corey for allowing me to do a live all about 3D printing. There she is. Hi, Heather. I know I was 1 minute late. I apologize. I was looking for another SD card. Oh, Heather, you make me blush. You're so sweet. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. I feel like it's been a minute since I've talked about stuff from the beginning, and I know a lot of people are really nervous about 3D printing. So I want to make sure that I answer your questions and hopefully put your mind at ease so that you can do it. Because trust me, it took me a little while to make the leap myself, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad. I cannot even begin to tell you guys. Okay, there's a little delay here, so if I'm laughing at something, it means I just saw it, or anyway. Nikki, you're so sweet. Hello, Josette. Yeah, so we'll wait for everybody to join us. But let me know in the comments if you have a printer, if it's still in the box or not, and if you've been thinking about getting a printer, and you know why you've been thinking about getting it or why not, you know, and if there's anything that's holding you back, let me know. You know, I want to make sure that I answer all the questions, because trust me, if I can do this, you guys can do this. I promise. And you know, it takes me, you know, 10 or 15 times to like think about something and go through all of the what ifs and everything to actually make the leap. So I'm right there with you for all those people that got the printer, or the printer's still in the box, or it's taken you a little while to even go down that rabbit hole. Oh, Richard just started using an Ender 3 Pro. It's a great printer. Donna still has her printer in the box. No judgment. Casey also has a printer still in the box. Nancy has one arriving this week. Hi, Julie. Hi, LaShonda. Hi, Donna. Okay, you guys are awesome with the comments. Thank you for that, because normally I have my husband here. He's my sidekick, but he's upstairs tonight, so it's just me. Let's see. Jennifer's been thinking about buying one. Just a hobby baker. Michelle just took hers out of the box. Nice. Lindsay's got it in the box. Hi, Christy. Hi, Mackenzie. You bought a secondhand Ender 3 Pro a couple weeks ago, but haven't tried to use it yet. Purchased some STLs, but a little confused about how to get from STL to cutter. That is a great thing that you brought that up, and I will go through all of that for you. Don't worry. Deb says she hasn't gotten one yet, but wants the ability to make cutters to match your image. You are speaking to the choir. Ashley has an Ender 3 that she put together. Congrats to you. That is quite the achievement. But you're too nervous to start using it. Well, I got to tell you, it's really hard to 100% break these machines because I haven't done it yet. So, and it's been, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now. I haven't broken mine yet. Brandy said her adult kids want her to get one, but she's not sure that she wants to learn one. It's easier than you think, Brandy. Maria said she learned 3D printing during the pandemic and learned to model cutters from me. Awesome, me and the Hubs. Hi, Mimi, nice to see you. Josette said she's finally printed her second cutter. The first one was from Sam's Cookie University. It's a rainbow on the Ender 3 Pro. That's awesome. Okay, I think we have quite a few people here. It's been a few minutes, so I think we should go ahead and get started. So, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my journey, and hopefully you guys can relate to it because you're probably in the same boat. And then we'll go into, getting the printer, what printers I recommend, what to look for when you're getting a printer, how to get support, how to get help, how to ask for help. We're going to go into all of that, I promise. So as I mentioned, I've been printing for probably, 3 or 4 years now, probably around 4 years. And there was one year where I spent about $600 in cookie cutters. And I know you guys can relate because you see it on Instagram, you see it on Facebook, you see the pictures in all the different Facebook groups, and you go, I just have to have that cutter. I have to have it. And then you start thinking, well, not only do I need that cutter, I need all the other cutters, that go along with it. Or it's $35 that you have to spend before you can get free shipping. And if you're like me, you're like, well, then I have to now purchase $35 worth of cookie cutters because the shipping would also cost another cookie cutter. So I may as well just get more cookie cutters. So I spent $600 in 1 year on cookie cutters. And, as a small business, that is a pretty large chunk of money. And so you've got to start thinking, is this where I need to spend my money if you're going to take your business seriously? And so I kind of had a heart-to-heart with myself and thought, I need to switch it up. I know that a lot of the printers or a lot of the cookie cutter shops are printing their own cookie cutters. So how hard could it be for me to try and figure it out myself? So I had a silhouette. You can see I have one back there. I have a Cricut on the other side. It's way back there. And so I thought, well, maybe it would be similar to like Silhouette software or something. And at the time, the Silhouette had just come out with that little bitty Alta printer. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was a tiny little printer and it had a different component. Most of our components use like the X and Y. This one had like something that started at the top and went down and kind of built on its way up. So similar but different because it had like this arm kind of thing that went down and then printed going all the way up. But the bed size was literally probably the size of 3 inches around, 3.5 inches around. So I looked into that one and it was, I think at the time it was like $300 or $400, and I felt like that was kind of expensive. So I started looking into other printers, and there was one called an Ender 3 Pro. You guys might know it. It's a Creality Ender 3 Pro. So I went on Amazon and I started looking at the prices, and this was around Black Friday. And my birthday is the very first week of December. So I thought, I'm going to get this as a gift to myself. And so I got it, and it showed up at the front door, and my husband saw it, and of course he can smell technology a mile away. And he's like, what did you buy? What is that? And I said, it's a 3D printer. And he was like, oh my gosh. And so I got lucky because he put it together for me. But I will tell you, I have put together this, it's opposite here. I put together, this little printer right here, which is called my Prusa. It's a Mini Plus. It's an awesome little printer. You can buy it as a kit, or you can buy it semi-assembled. And so I bought it as a kit, and I spent about 9 hours putting it together. So I have put together printers. I don't recommend doing it. I would always get semi-assembled or already assembled because it's just easier. You do have to pay a little bit of a premium. But anyway, I got the 3D Ender Pro. My husband put it together, and I bought an STL file on Etsy. It was like a baby onesie or something. And I really didn't understand how you went from STL file to how does a printer print it. There was a disconnect. I didn't know that part. So there was definitely a learning curve for me. And so I started joining all of these Facebook groups. And when I joined these Facebook groups, what I noticed is while they are 3D printing Facebook groups, they're not necessarily for cookie cutters or there weren't as many as there are now. And so if I would ask for help in those groups, they were like printing Mandalorian helmets and swords and cosplay and stuff like that. So it was really interesting trying to get help. And I also didn't know how to ask for help. So I kept doing my research and finally figured out that the STL file is literally just the geometry. It's just the model of the cookie cutter. It's, just this little shape that is the cookie cutter, but you have to figure out how to print it. And so that is called slicing. So you take that STL file, that model of your cookie cutter, and then you use a free slicer program. So they are 100% free. There are two programs that you can use. One is called Cura and one is called Prusa. So I downloaded Cura. You can go to the Cura, I think it's the Ultimaker Cura website, and you can download the software. It's 100% free. Then once you have the software, you tell it what printer you have, and then you can go open your STL file. And once you tell it what printer you have, it will actually show you the bed. And so I was able to slice it for my printer. And slicing just means that it's translating this weird model, this shape, into something that your printer understands. So slicing is basically taking every single slice of your model, and it's telling the printer exactly how to print those slices to come up with that geometry or that model. So don't get scared. It's nothing major. It's literally just a translator. It's taking however this person made the model and translating it into a language that your printer understands. So once I printed that very first model, I was like so proud of myself that I figured it out. Then I got excited. Like, now I want to start making my own. How can I do that? So that's a whole other topic, but I just want to cover kind of the overview of 3D printing, and I want to make sure that I answer your questions. And I don't see any questions right this second, but don't be shy. I'll fill in the blanks and answer these questions whenever I can. But definitely ask anything on your mind. So I have 3. We have like 6 printers right now, and I have 2 more on order. I kind of have a problem. So now instead of a cookie cutter problem, I have a printer problem because I can't stop. But I really like to get different printers and see how they work, see how easy they are or not, and then kind of give my feedback on them. So that Ender 3 Pro was awesome in the beginning. Word to the wise, just know that the Ender 3 Pro does not auto level. So there is a little bit of tinkering that you have to do, maybe not every single time you print, but at least every, 4 or 5 cookie cutters, you want to make sure that the bed is 100% level. So the Prusa Mini Plus is a printer that I have that actually does auto level. And the other one that I have over there is the CR6 SE, which somebody mentioned to me that it was no longer available, but I'm still seeing it for sale. So it's a great printer also. It does have auto level. So if you were thinking about the Ender 3 Pro, I'm not saying to stop thinking about it. I still think it's a great printer, but there are now Ender 3 Pros out there that include auto leveling. So for just a little bit more, you can get auto level. Like I said, both of these auto level. Pretty much all the printers that we order going forward will have auto level. And that's still not 100%. You still have to set something called the Z offset. So the nozzle gets fairly close to the bed, and what it needs to do is push the filament out of the nozzle and almost smear it onto the bed so that it sticks, and then it can build onto whatever it's smeared onto the bed, if that makes sense. So, that would be the first thing when you're looking for a printer, is to make sure that it has auto level. Because I will tell you, the Ender 3 Pro without the auto level, when you're in a hurry, which a lot of times we are, it can get kind of annoying to have to re-level and all of that stuff. For the most part, the ones that have auto level, they go through the auto level before it prints anything, anytime. And then you may have to adjust how close the nozzle is, but it's nowhere near as often as you would have to on a manual printer. So the Ender 3 is made by Creality. There are many Ender 3 printers. There's like an Ender 3 Pro. There's an Ender 3 Pro version 2. There is an Ender 3 Pro SE. But there's a lot of them. So just read the description, whether it's on Amazon or on the Creality website, and know that some of them do come with auto level, and just pick the right one if you want to go with Creality. The other thing I recommend is make sure that you join any Facebook group that's associated with your specific printer. The Prusa Mini Plus is awesome. It's a little bit more expensive than the Ender series. I would say the Ender is like $200-ish. Sometimes you can get them without all auto level from Micro Center for $99. But just know that that's a bare bones printer. There's nothing wrong with it. You can absolutely try that to see if you even like it, and then upgrade later. The CR6 SE, which is that one over in the corner, I want to say I got that one on Kickstarter right when it came out, and I paid around like $300. And I want to say now it's like $350, $400 in that range. And a lot of the Enders that have auto level would be in the $250 to $350 range. The little one that I have behind me, this guy right here, is the Prusa Mini Plus, which I have to tell you, hands down, Prusa is an amazing printer. Prusa is an amazing company. They have incredible support online. That's not to say that Creality doesn't. I just find that Prusa's is better. They have better customer service. They have videos for assembly. I can't say enough things about the company. It's a great company. But you do pay a premium. That printer is probably in the 400 plus range. So, it's definitely not cheap. But like I said, if you wanted to start with something to see if you even like it, an Ender 3 Pro is a great starter printer. If you think that you're like a tinkerer and you're going to love it, then I would go for something right off the bat that has auto level. Oh, Trisha says hi. She's in Thailand this week. Well, I'm jealous. That sounds like a great trip. Nikki says, holy moly, I thought they were like $1,000. And that's what my husband thought. When I brought my very first one home, or when it got delivered, he saw how it printed that first cookie cutter. And he was like, how much did you spend on this? And I was like, it was expensive. And he's like, how much? I said like $256. He's like, what? So his office would have 3D printers, gosh, way back like 15 years ago. And they would be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000. And so I would ask him to print cookie cutters for me, and he would do it, but they didn't come out nearly as great as they do now. Let's see. Richard said something about installing the leveling kit on his. So you can absolutely get what's called a CR Touch or a BL Touch for your Ender. But it does require you to adjust the G-code, which can, it's not difficult. It's just, it can, maybe if you're a little faint of heart, I wouldn't. But now I feel like the printers, you can get one that's super affordable that already has it, and you don't really have to worry about that stuff. So just look for it, see the pricing, go with what makes the most sense for you. Okay, so when you get your printer, if you get the CR6 or you get the Ender, there's really not a ton of assembly, but you can go on YouTube. There's a great guy. His name is Chep. He has a really awesome YouTube channel where he does a ton of unboxing. He will do assembly. He shows you how to level your printer. So don't think that, you have to go by the manual. If you're a visual person, look for support on YouTube. YouTube is one of the greatest things that has ever come out. We have been having issues with our cats, and so we've looked on YouTube to get help with our cats, which is crazy. But anyway, so make sure that you join groups. Definitely try YouTube if you're having any kind of issue whatsoever. The other thing that I would do is join the groups associated with your printer and make sure that you start reading about, different issues that people are having to get yourself familiar. So when you have an issue, you're not going in cold turkey trying to figure out how to ask for help, or, you may have a little bit more terminology to tell people what's going on. Mackenzie asked me to repeat his name. His name is Chep. I can put a link here. Let me find it. He has a site where he puts all kinds of great stuff for support. He has a really great bed leveling video. And this connects to all of his YouTube videos too. So definitely check that out. Okay, so back to just printing in general. And like I said, ask me any questions that you want. Okay, so you get your printer, you assemble your printer. It's not difficult. All you need is an Allen wrench. They usually come with it. It comes with screws. It usually has like a little toolbox or something. There's nothing earth-shattering that you have to do when you put it together. It's literally following step by step by step. It's not hard. It's just you have to take your time. As far as filament goes, filament is what's on the spool. Generally, the cookie cutters that you buy or the cookie cutters that you print at home are usually made with 1.75 millimeter PLA, which is basically like a plastic. It's like a recycled plastic. You can get into a ton of different things regarding food safety. You have to do the best that you believe for yourself. Personally, I feel like it's fine with PLA. That's pretty much what I buy. My cookies are getting baked, so I'm not really too concerned about it. You can use plastic wrap. If you are super concerned about filament and food safety, PETG is another type of filament that you can use that is 100% food safe. It does print at higher temperatures, and the filament is hotter. So there's nothing wrong with either one. It's almost like you just kind of have to pick a side and go with it. Because that one spool is around $20-$25, and you can get anywhere from 50 to 100 cookie cutters out of it. So, we're talking a quarter, maybe 30 cents for each cookie cutter, not a lot at all. Ashley's asking what nozzles that I recommend when printing cutters. So my printers have all come with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. It looks like it's brass. When you buy your printer, it's really helpful to buy extra nozzles. Whatever the brand of your printer is, you can usually type that into Amazon. Just put 0.4 millimeter nozzles and then whatever your printer is, and the right link will come up. Let's see. So the filament, again, you're basically going to put it through this hole in the printer. You're going to turn your printer on, and then, eventually you're going to keep pushing to where you can't push anymore. And so then you turn your printer on, and you just do something called like a preheat. So with your 3D printers, your bed is heated. So the actual bed surface right here is heated. And the filament itself is also heated through a heat sink, and then heated through your nozzle so that it melts and goes down on the bed. There are some printers that don't have a heated bed, and there's nothing wrong with that. I prefer a heated bed because if you think about it, you know, I'm in Georgia and we don't get a ton of winter weather, but if I didn't have a heated bed, it would be a little bit less stable environment. So what you're trying to do is create the most stable environment for your printer. So, let's see. You want to make sure that there's no vents right over your printers, because remember that filament is hot when it's going down on the heated bed. And if you have air blowing onto the printer on one side, you may have different issues because the filament may get cold and then it will start to seize up, and then you may have a bent cookie cutter on one side. So you just want to make sure that you place your printer in an area that's a very stable environment. For PLA, the bed is generally heated to about 60 degrees, and the temperature of the actual filament can be anywhere from like, I don't know, 180 all the way up to around 230 degrees. And when you are slicing, you put in what your printer is and what kind of filament you're using, which would be PLA or PETG, and then it will give you like the recommended temperatures. But every filament, which this is not, every filament is going to have recommendations on it. You can barely see it there. Let me see if I can move it closer. Here. It's right there. You can probably not even really see it, but it's telling me that this is pink. It's PLA, it's 1.75. And it doesn't tell me the temperature there, but a lot of them will. And generally, I will run my PLA from Solutech at about 215 degrees. So all of the filament will have a range. And so when you're slicing, you want to put a temperature kind of on the low end of that range, so that it will melt nice and smoothly and stick to the bed really well. Okay, I don't see any questions, but if anybody has any, just throw them out here. So let's see, all of a sudden I'm getting gaps in the walls of my cutter and the walls are rough. You can see each layer. Up until yesterday, my prints were smooth. I've replaced my nozzles and cleaned out the block, but gapping and rough walls are still an issue. So I might look into possibly moisture in your filament, because that can make your walls like kind of scratchy, and it's almost like there's a clog beginning to form, and so that's how the wall gets a little rough. So I would try another filament to see if that's what your issue is before I would do anything else. It sounds like you've done a few things. Let's see. Sometimes when printing a cutter, it will be tracing the outside of the cutter and then it won't adhere and kind of leave a strand cutting the corner. What causes that and how do you correct? I don't quite understand what you're saying. I think it's the beginning of spaghetti. And so I would make sure that you wipe down the bed really, really well. Some people use a combination of like Dawn and water and clean the bed. Some people use alcohol, that's what I use. And I would just really make sure that your bed is clean, because any of your fingerprints from maybe taking the cookie cutter off from before can leave oils onto the bed, causing the filament not to stick anymore. So I would probably try that. The other thing, when there's like little strands, we call that stringing. That is usually a temperature thing, and it could mean that you are slightly too hot. So you can always try to go down in temperature. Let's see. What causes a smooth surface print and lots of threads to cut off? It's usually a temperature thing. So I would adjust it by like 5 degrees down likely. But you could also try 5 degrees hotter. You know, it's kind of a troubleshooting thing. There's not one specific answer to everything. I will put a link to a website that I use on a regular basis. It's called All 3DP. And there is a guide that they have here all about troubleshooting. And the great thing about this guide is that there are pictures. And so depending on what problem you're having, you can actually look for the picture. Let's see. Let's see. Deb is asking, what are the dimensions of the bed on the Mini? Would that be big enough for most cookie cutters? So the bed on the Mini is about 7 inches square. So yes, it's big enough for just about every cookie cutter. Unless you're doing like multi-cutters, which are bigger cookie cutters, you would just need to know what the dimension is. Because even though it may be a 6-pack of minis and each mini is about 2 inches high, you still have the handle that you have to worry about. So just, you know, I would buy like, you know, 3.5 inch, 4-inch cookie cutter, whatever's less than 7 inches. Until you get into those bigger ones, just look at all the dimensions of it before you purchase. Let's see. Kathy says, my print is starting out smooth, and then after the 3rd time around, it seems to drop a teardrop of filament and then continue. Obviously, it won't be smooth if I continue. Tips. I think you might need to post a picture of what you're talking about. It sounds like it's, you know, spitting out a little bit more filament. That could be something called retraction, and I don't want to scare anybody, but retraction is a setting in your slicer, and you know, it's a number. You can even look in this little troubleshooting guide. And retraction is it's laying down filament, and it needs to move somewhere else. It retracts and it moves, and it starts spreading that filament again. So there's a setting there that you can adjust. That could be what you're talking about. Let's see. Richard says, on your Ender 3 Pro, what temperatures do you use for the bed and the nozzle? So the temperature is really going to depend on the filament that you're using. I generally have a bed that is at 60, and with the filament that I use, which is Solutech right now, I have Hatchbox and others, it's going to be dependent on the temperatures recommended by the manufacturer. And with Solutech, I think for me, it prints a little bit on the higher end at 215. But like Hatchbox might be okay, like 205 or 210. They all have a range, and you just want to start with that range. Another great thing to do when you're first starting out printing and you've got new filament, you have a new printer, is something called a temperature tower. And a temperature tower is, you can just go on Google, you can go online, you can put your printer in there and say temperature tower, PLA. And there's a file that you can get, and it's already ready to go. It's already what's called G-code, which I'll go into in a second. It's already G-code, and so you put it in your printer, and it will print a tower at different degrees, and then you look at this tower and you find what looks best, and that is the temperature that you should be printing at. So yes, Richard, the manufacturer of the filament will have recommended temperatures. Yes, Cindy, that's great. I just mentioned that. Printing a temperature tower. Yes, that is great advice. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's say we have our printer ready to go. We have our filament ready to go. You want to take that STL file that you purchased or that you grabbed from Sam's Cookie University. You're going to put it in your slicer. Usually the slicer program will be on your laptop. You'll use a little folder to open it, and you're going to open that STL file, and that's when you're going to be able to see the actual cookie cutter on the bed on your laptop or your Mac or what have you. You're going to see the bed of your actual printer, and you're going to drop that STL file right on the bed. So you're going to see it right then and there. You're going to see how it's going to print and everything. So what we're trying to do is, like I mentioned before, we're trying to translate it from an STL to what the printer understands. And generally, the printer only understands something called G-code. It's G-E-C-O-D-E, G-code. That is the language that most printers understand. So in your slicer, you're telling it what printer, you're telling it what filament. You can adjust whatever temperature that you might need to adjust. And then you're asking it to slice it. And when it slices that STL file, it's going to turn it into the G-code that you need. It's also going to tell you this file on your specific printer is going to take an hour or 2 hours. And then it's also going to tell you how much filament it's going to use. And some slicers will even tell you a general cost of that cookie cutter that you're printing. Let's see. Ruth is asking, where's the best place to store your printer? You could store it anywhere. I would say on a level surface that doesn't have air blowing on it. Is it best to cover it when it's not in use? It's up to you. We have a couple covered downstairs, but most of mine are out like this. And it says, does moving it unlevel it? It can. So that's why you want to make sure that, you've leveled whenever you've moved it or anything like that. Let's see. Most of the printers are going to have either a USB port for you to save the G-code to and shove it in the printer, or an SD card like this, or even one of those tiny little micro SD cards. So that's where you're going to save your G-code, and then you're going to put it in your machine, turn on your machine. Usually you're going to have to preheat your machine, and then you tell it print that cookie cutter. Richard says he bought a cord to connect directly to your printer in place of an SD card. I haven't been able to get my printer to recognize when it's connected. Any suggestions? I don't have any of my printers connected via cord at all. I do have one printer that is Wi-Fi enabled, so it's connected to my slicer. I slice it and then I send it through to the printer via an app. That's a more expensive printer. It's called an AnchorMake M5, and it's a lot faster than any of the other printers that we have. But that would be an option for you. As far as like the cord that directly connects to your printer, I would go to any of the groups regarding your specific printer and ask that questionnaire. Somebody is bound to have had an issue before. Those people are amazing. When you ask for help, you want to make sure that you tell everybody what printer you have, what issue you're having, any pictures or a video, and give them all the details of like what you've tried, what you think it might be, and of course, just be really nice when you ask for help. Let's see. So most of these printers are made up of a bunch of different parts and pieces. If something were to happen, you clog a nozzle, you can buy a new nozzle on Amazon. If, something were to happen to like your heat block or your fan or something like that, you can just buy another one and replace it. It's not difficult. I think a lot of times we just have to get over that hump of thinking that we broke it, because I had that in the beginning. So just know it really does take a lot to break these things. I wish they were plug and play, but they're not quite there yet. Let's see, do we have any more questions? I don't feel like I'm seeing all of them, but maybe I am. Let's see. What else? Oh, you can always join my free Facebook group called Sam's Cookie University. There's a lot of great people in there that will help if you post that you have an issue. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. we go live and we actually model a brand new cookie cutter, and we talk about it and we go through the process in Fusion 360. Somebody was asking about designing cookie cutters. That's what we do. We use Fusion 360, and like I said, we go live every Monday night at 7 p.m. So join us in the future. But I don't know, you guys are pretty quiet tonight. Not a lot of questions. Let's see. Let's see. The CR6 has a bed size of about 9.5 by 10. The Prusa Mini Plus has a bed size of about 7.5 by 7.5. My Anchor Make, which is behind all of this stuff, has a bed size of about 9.5 by 9.5. And it's a lot faster than any of the others. Let's see. I'm going to give you guys the link for Sam's Cookie University in case you want to join us to make a cookie cutter. And the other thing I'll share with you guys is I am actually giving away a 3D printer on Instagram. So if you guys are looking for a 3D printer, I'm giving away a Creality Ender 3 Pro SE, which already auto levels. So you are welcome to go to Instagram and sign up to possibly win a printer. Let's see. Mimi, you're so sweet. So my private group is amazing. I've been a huge help. You're so sweet. Augusto and I are great teachers. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Is so sweet. Let's see. Sharon says, not printer related, but where did you get the furniture behind you that the printers are sitting on? Crazy enough, I got it at IKEA. It is the IKEA kitchen furniture. Lolita said, is there a group thread to ask or post suggestions, ideas we would like to see demonstrated? You can post in the Cookie University and we will see it. And you can do that anytime. Last but not least, I am participating in Cookie-a-thon. So if you guys are interested in that, you are welcome. It is a free, like 3-day event. You're welcome to go there and take a look. I'm doing a tutorial decorating with a vintage tea tin and a beautiful peony flower. So hopefully you can take a look at that. Let's see. Mackenzie says, this is a funny one, but my second-hand printer didn't come with much. I see people use a scraper to get their cutters off. Do I need something special or can I just pluck it off? You can just pluck it off. I'll show you what you're talking about. Let me grab one. Hang on. As far as tools, this is the little scraper that you're talking about. Most printers usually come with one. If not, you can get a little set on Amazon. You know, don't use like a putty knife or anything. I belong to a lot of groups and I've seen a lot of people stab themselves or go to the emergency room, and you do not want to do that. No fun. I would definitely go on Amazon and get something like this. This is just a metal brush, and this allows you to rub the bottom of your nozzle and get all of that extra gunk off. You want to try to keep the bed clean and also the nozzle clean. If your cookie cutter ever gets stuck, you can use canned air to sort of freeze it off, which is super helpful. Let's see. Nikki says, is your Bella Fusion 360 add-on $99 a one-time purchase or is it a subscription? So our add-on for Bella for Fusion 360 is a one-time purchase. That is a personal use for making cookie cutters. It's a one-time purchase. That may change in the future, but right now it's one-time purchase. It's for personal use. If you're selling cookie cutter STL files, you would need to use our commercial version for Bella. Irma says, my last printer came with a real sharp one and it cut my knee when it fell out of my hand. That's terrible. I'm sorry. So yeah, you can get these guys in a little package. I think there was like 5 or 6 of them that came together. And then this is a good tool. The other one is this one. I use him a lot to cut the end of the filament, which is pretty nifty. And I actually think all of these came with printers. Yeah, let's see. Mackenzie says, do you take the cookie cutter off when it's warm or cooled? It depends on how quick I need it. If I need it right away, it's usually while it's still warm. If I can wait, I'll leave it there till it's cool. But it won't hurt anything if you just pull it right off. It's usually pretty cooled when it's done. So, I don't know. Are we done? Do you guys have any more questions? Let's see. Maria said, if I am patient and the bed cools down, I can actually hear it pop off. Yeah, and in the wintertime, I can hear it crackle a little bit. But I think that is about it. This is what we made on Monday. We did a little rain boot. And we do that every Monday night at 7 p.m. But if you guys have any other questions, you can put them here. I will check later on and I'll answer any other question. But this has been a lot of fun. I hope that you guys get the courage to open your box, take your time. You know, just like making regular cookies, it didn't happen overnight. Give yourself some grace. Don't try to do everything all one night. Just spread it out a little. It's going to be great. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And I'll look in the comments for any other questions. But I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.